tossers have thrown it out the door with their behaviour this week. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely look at themselves in the mirror and wonder what the have they been doing. They're hissing at us and calling us cheats in the Lord's long room, and they have the gall to say, talk to us about the spirit of cricket. Absolute bullshit. There's a big appeal that's hit him on the pad. He's out. Lions gone. New South Wales are 9 down onto Sydney Road, and it's hit a car. Oh, I think it's hit a car. What a way to bring up your 50.
All you want is to leave it all behind. Now there is a simple remedy to stay fit for all eternity.
Oh, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast with Manners and McGill. Welcome, Stewie.
Hey, how are you?
Good. You're not sick of me yet because we recorded Cricket Unfiltered last week and we did 3 live Dream 11 shows.
Yeah, Dream 11's our new show. The only way you're going to get to listen to us is by downloading the Dream 11 app from your relevant app store. There's no archival footage at all. It's just a purely live show. We record 7 o'clock on weekdays.
That's right.
But this week we're doing
Thursday and Saturday.
And and Saturday.
If you download the app, you'll see whenever we're going live.
Okay.
But as Stewie says, it's not archived, so anything stupid we say
I hate to correct you, but it's going to be Wednesday and Saturday.
Oh, Wednesday and Saturday
this week.
Right.
But look, as you know, I correct you sort of 5 or 6 times a show because you spout quite a lot of crap. So, but yeah, Wednesday 7 p.m. Eastern, Saturday 7 p.m. Eastern, and after the 7 p.m. Eastern show, I'm going to be going out.
Excellent. Might be going with you.
No,
but
you won't.
You can ask. Rejected again.
Rejected.
You can ask questions. So we're having a lot of fun doing that. As I said, Cricket Unfiltered remains unchanged.
Yeah.
We have so much to get into. The World T20 semi-finals have been locked in. Australia are set to return to a couple of places they haven't been in a while.
That's good.
I was right again about something. So 1-0 to me in the Manners McGill fight.
Well, hang on, you got to say what you were right
about Molyneux being appointed as Australian women's skipper.
You weren't right about that. She was the best candidate at the time. Yeah. So,
we'll get there.
By the way, mate, so now you're disrespecting another Australian skipper. Pat Cummins, Sophie Molyneux. That's fine. Cool.
I'm not disrespecting
there's disrespect going
We'll get to it.
You're a muppet.
All right, and let's start, though, with some good news. Before we get into the arguments, let's start to Ian Healy. He signed off a while ago. Alyssa Healy signing off with a bang on Sunday in Australia, smashing 158 off 98 balls. The last 58 came off just 19 balls. That's Stewie McGill in the Shield territory. She brought up a century of 79 balls. This is incredible. She hit 27 boundaries and 2 sixes to have 120 runs in boundaries total.
That's pretty cool,
That's
isn't it?
a huge percentage.
And when you say signing off, you mean signing off from one day internationals.
Exactly.
She's got a test match to come.
That's right. But what a way to finish ODI cricket.
Yeah.
And in her final ODI series against India, she went 56 and 158, averaging 71. So she went out on top.
And the total that was put together by the Australian team.
Exactly.
I always used to feel quite comfortable as a bowler. If even in a 50-over game, I mean, it was going to be hard, but if the other team had made 180, I thought we could compete with that. We can put that together, and if we bowl well, we can win. If my team had made 400, you're not beating us.
Yeah. Australia being 7 for 409 in that final game. Exactly. So Alyssa Healy's record in one-day cricket ends with 8 centuries, 19 50s, an average of 37. But she was a player
What
for
was the strike rate?
Strike rate of 100.69.
See, that's the stuff that we want to look at in one-day cricket, isn't it? 50-over cricket. She's making a run a ball, and that's it's unbelievable.
And she did it in the big games too.
Yes, she did.
And no surprises in her final game. She put on a show, and you could actually tell that physically she was struggling. She was cramping up quite early. So I think it's a sign she's picking the right time to retire. She spoke to her uncle Ian this morning on the radio and said that during the last WBBL, she really struggled through that for motivation. So I think she's got herself up for this one last series against India, and she's put on a show.
Oh, don't rule out a ton in the test match either.
Absolutely. I would love to see that. So you predicted it, and this is where you get a point. The Australian women have smashed India in the ODIs. They lead 3-0.
Yeah.
They now lead the multi-format series 8 points to 4. So they can't lose the multi-format series.
They can't.
But India could win the test and draw the series. Australia were thrown a few curveballs on the eve of the ODI series. Elise Perry was ruled out of the one-dayers. Kim Garth was ruled out of the rest of the series, subsequently ruled out for the rest of the series. And then the Australian captain in waiting, Sophie Molyneux, has been ruled out for the whole series, and she is expected to be fit for the upcoming tour of the West Indies. But you never know with an injury. So she's going to miss this series. And
so the issue with that, Manners, is that we're going to be possibly forced to have a caretaker.
Yes, exactly.
Which although now Sophie, following this one-off test match, she's the captain of all formats. But if she's not fit for the West Indies, then that throws things into a little bit of turmoil. As I said to you before, I like people who have dealt with adversity, and I like people who have fought their way back from an injury to get back into form. But it is troubling that she's injured again. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shelley Nitschke was on the radio on ABC Radio on the weekend. She was asked this question by an interviewer. Were there any concerns about Sophie's injury history when appointing her as skipper?
Sure.
And she said, well, we just feel that Sophie is the best candidate.
I think so too.
So if I take that on face value, this is where I disagree with you. I take that on face value. But the best candidate has to be in the team and has to be on the field. Like, she's just in the best 11.
Yeah, but man,
and now her fitness is average.
So you're saying to me that you're wishing that somebody gets an injury.
No, I'm saying
you're actually hoping and praying.
No, not at all.
That Sophie Molyneux got an injury so that you could be right.
No, not at all. I didn't have anything to do with that.
That's the way I heard of it.
No, I just think that the signs were there that she struggled with fitness.
The signs were there that she's struggled her whole life to get back to peak fitness.
Yep.
That's the bit that you look at. Don't look at it half empty, man.
I like your positivity. I'm just saying, the best candidate has to be on the field.
Right.
Like, you can be a great leader, but if you're not fit and you're not in the best 11, then you're not the Australian captain.
Well, if Sophie Molyneux is unable to get back onto the field following this series, then I'm going for Sutherland for the captain.
Okay.
Because she's won the Belinda Clark medal for the last couple of years. I think she's the best player in the team. When you can do it with bat and ball, because I know that you've got, all this little crazy little phobia about bowlers being captains so
absolutely.
that they can concentrate on what they've got to do. By the way, I can concentrate on a number of things when I'm bowling, and I probably do. But the most important thing for this, for an all-rounder is that they can make some runs with the bat. They can take some runs with the ball. It takes pressure off them, and she's going to be able to captain very, very easily. I think that your favourite, your little poster child, Gardner, needs to concentrate on what she's doing with the ball at the moment because, I think there can be some improvements made there. Yeah,
and I think Sutherland's a great candidate. And one thing she has ahead of Molyneux is she's been in that team. She's been playing.
Not ahead of Molyneux, mate. Listen, the reason that Sophie Molyneux was selected as captain it's because she was the best option. That's it. You are nobody in the big scheme of things, Menace.
Well,
you've just got to understand that, mate.
Well,
I'm going to put you in your box.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Well, I think I'm right on this one. I'm taking the win for this one.
Listen, a little tiny man in the corner yapping away like a chihuahua.
Well, exactly. She's not going to be playing for Australia, so she's not going to be a great captain. For the time being. But of course, I would love to see her fit and doing well, but I think the concerns were well-founded. Just on the ODI series just completed, Australia won the first by 6 wickets. They won the second by 5 wickets, and they won the third by 185 runs.
185 runs.
Unbelievable.
So you mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you thought that India wasn't scared of Australia anymore. They're still scared of Australia. Okay. All of their bowlers failed. They did not make a dent Georgia Vole also made 65 there, 62.
So Vol made 101 in the
Yeah,
second
there you
ODI
go.
and 62 in the
Yeah,
last.
so-
and she's Healy's successor.
So that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about. So, in terms of succession planning, I think the women's selectors have done a lot better job than the men's selectors have. Georgie Boy probably should get on the phone and talk to the women's chairman of selectors and, find out what the tips are there,
Yeah. I guess they both have captains that rarely play. Both. No,
It's okay, mate. No, it's okay. When I interview the captains,
Yes.
you just won't be here. That's all.
true.
Yeah.
Beth Mooney, a hell of a series.
Yeah.
76-31, 106 not out. I say it every show, but she's the rock because she's just always seems to be playing second fiddle. Like, she makes the 100 while Healy's going off at the other end.
Yeah.
But she's so important to that middle order.
Trust me, there is nothing wrong with being second fiddle.
Especially with 106 not.
Well, look, from personal experience, just playing your career out in the shadows, it works out for you in the end.
Yeah.
Beth Mooney's going to have a great life.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great career in the making. Oval continues. Litchfield on fire with 80 in the second ODI. She pounded India and Australia made that chase of 252 look relatively easy. With the bowlers, well, here we go. Alana King, 7 wickets for the series, strike rate of 25.7, economy 3.9, best bowling of 4 for 33. What do you think of Alana King's leg spinners?
No, I watched the game on Friday night. It was good. Friday night. I watched the middle game of the 3
Friday night, yeah,
and then watched Sunday, obviously. But I think she's probably the best spin bowler going around at the moment. So I love watching her bowl. So she's a good bowler. Yeah.
She does bowl beautiful leg spinners. Ash
and I might add, particularly in the Friday night game, there were catches all over the place that went down. Australia didn't play particularly well. And got away with a win. That's a good sign for me too. I'd love to see the perfect game being played. But when things are slightly imperfect, it's good to see that you can still get across the line. And I think you'll probably find all the spin bowlers on Friday night had chances go down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ash Gardner, great series with the ball, 6 wickets for the series. So they were the 2 leading wicket takers. So this series concludes at the WACA. A day-night pink ball test at the WACA starts this Friday. So that's going to be a really late start on the East Coast. You're looking around maybe a 4 p.m. first ball.
Yeah.
So cricket long into the night, which I know you love your long nights, Stewie, so you'll be able to sit back and watch the cricket.
Because I'm normally working with you until 11 o'clock at night. So
yeah, exactly. Interestingly, both Alyssa Healy and Mitchell Starc have a highest test score of 99.
Yep.
So it'd be nice if Alyssa could get one up on him and make a ton.
I'd lock it in just about, unfortunately. Sorry, Mitch. Yeah.
And there was actually a very funny moment. So Alyssa Healy bowled in her last one-day international, and they were the first balls she's ever bowled in international cricket, unsurprisingly. Yeah. So she bowled 2 overs, and they had footage of Mitch in the commentary box. He was commentating for 7, and he did not look happy. I wasn't sure what he was unhappy about, but I think he was scared that he got a wicket.
I think he was probably scared that she'd get injured and wouldn't be able to play the test match because people forget how, even bowling slow, people forget what bowling does to your body. Bowling is it's the most stupid thing ever invented physically. The strains it puts on your body. So I think he was probably just hoping she got through to the next round of the tournament.
That too, but they're also super competitive. I think he felt if she took a wicket, he would never hear the end of it.
Hang on, mate. If she took a wicket, she's still 500 behind him.
That's right. But then the first ball she bowled got hit for 4, and Mitch goes, "See, I told you, it's not that easy, is it?" Just before we move on from the women's game, Australia have announced the upcoming tour of the West Indies in the female game, and there'll be no test match, which I'm not surprised about because it's very expensive to stage a test match. And I'm not sure it will be viable for the West Indies to host Australia in a women's test match.
Sure.
So I think it's a prudent decision. I know there's some consternation that the women don't get an opportunity to play enough test cricket. But I think apart from sort of against England and India, it's pretty hard for smaller countries to put it on.
I don't think you should expect the smaller countries whose entire program is focused on white ball cricket. I don't think you should expect them to play test cricket because the home nation tends to pay the bills.
Exactly. And it's very expensive.
Yeah, I don't think that's a surprise, and I don't think it should be expected either.
No, to run at a massive loss. All right, but that's where the Aussies go straight after this. Hopefully Molyneux will be on the plane.
So hopefully, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'll be more points for me.
No points for you.
I'm taking them. I'm
You
taking
don't
them.
get
Whether you're giving them, I'm taking them.
Cheap points.
All right. I like cheap points.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to some news. Australia are returning to two places they haven't been for a while. Let's start with the real hot one. Australia confirmed they will return to South Africa for the first time since Sandpaper Gate. They will play 3 one-day internationals and then 3 tests.
Remind me what year that was?
No, 2018.
2018.
So
Well,
it'll be
it's a long
8
time,
years.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
It's a long time to not go to South Africa, considering they're one of our main opponents.
Mm.
You know,
I think there was a tour cancelled
'Cause
around
it's
COVID.
Yep.
But this is going to be a hot tour. Brad Haddon on his podcast was saying that South African crowds are brutal, and now they're going back with this hanging over their heads. And Smith will be in the firing line because Warner, if he's there, it's going to be in the commentary box, and Bancroft ain't going to be on that tour.
I'd say Warner's going to cop more of a hiding than Smithy is, but Davey might choose not to go. I'm not sure. You know, but the reality is, mate, that this is one of our major opposition teams. You know, along with England and India. And I think at the moment they're playing great cricket as well. So they've got some very, very dynamic players in their squad. And I think that, you know, it may well be that, you know, our bowling attack, which is aging, you know, Pat's probably got a few more years in me, but Stark and Hazelwood and Boland, they're getting close. This might be the final test, you know. So, you know, I think it's a big deal.
And they're going early season, so in October.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, their conditions are very similar to ours. So I would imagine early season we might get some spicy wickets. I think that 2014 tour where Australia got bowled out for 40 odd was around the same time.
Yeah.
So it is going to be fast bowler dominated. And it's both teams have these great attacks. So it won't be fun for batters.
And have some really dynamic batsmen up the top too, you know.
It'll be fiery.
Yeah, it could be. It could be very interesting. And I think it'll certainly test Australia's opening batsmen, that's for sure.
Did you ever play in South Africa?
No, I toured South Africa 2 or 3 times, but without playing a test match.
And just what you heard, how brutal were the crowds?
Look, see, I didn't really mind the crowd. I don't really mind the crowds. I had to go back to Perth, being a Perth boy, so I can't see they're any worse than the Wacker crowds. But by the way, I like that parochial sort of stuff. So when I went back to Perth, I kind of liked the idea that people were supporting their team. You know, I don't really care what they say to me. If you're listening to the people on the sideline, you're not concentrating. Okay. So, you know, I'd say to Brad, you know, what were you doing listening to them? It's possible that, you know, because I know, you know, sometimes people will pour drinks on you and stuff like that. I lose my temper, but who cares? I don't care. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think the argument could be made that Australian crowds are pretty horrible. You know, I know that, you know, over the years, Australian crowds have been warned at certain grounds that if they don't behave themselves, the status of the ground will be stripped from them. So I'd say the grounds are probably equal in ferocity around the world.
I take that absolutely.
That's fact. So, you know, so I know a couple of grounds in Australia in particular, and I won't mention them for, you know, risk of alienating them, but you know, two grounds in particular in Australia were warned that if the crowd doesn't behave against certain oppositions, then their test status will be stripped. So it clearly hasn't happened in South Africa because we know about it.
South Africa, the crowds are wild. In Australia, I do actually think we've been over-policed, our crowds, in the last 15 and 20 years. And almost now that the Australian crowds just sit on their hands and sort of watch the cricket. And unless they've had a gutful and then they might abuse someone from the sideline. But the only thing about this, I've sort of been thinking a lot about 2018. I said it a few years ago, but I do think the sexist treatment of Candace Warner from the South African crowds went way over the line. Going in with Sonny Bill William Maas to try and taunt Warner is low. That is low behaviour. It's targeting his wife, which I think is pretty poor. And I think, they can go pretty low.
Well, I think it's pretty low talking about it for starters. Manners. So I think, you didn't need to go into details there. I think that's shit. You're a fucking idiot.
Why?
You shouldn't go into details about things like this because you're doing exactly the same as the crowd. Okay?
No, really.
You are.
Because they were taunting
Listen
him.
to me now.
Yeah.
You've raised exactly the same issues.
Yeah.
You're saying the same thing that they did, and that is shit. So we're not going to talk about that anymore. If we're going to talk about issues to do with one particular player, we can say that they've talked about personal issues relating to that player. If you repeat,
that's issue.
No,
that's fair.
No, I'm right, mate.
No, they said that's fair.
Yeah, it is fair.
But
and
I wanted to draw the example of what they wore.
What I want you to do right this minute, because otherwise this is going to be a very, very short-lived relationship. You need to respect players and their families a lot more than you do at the moment.
I do respect them. That's
you did exactly the same as the South African crowd.
I feel sorry for her being targeted.
Listen, mate, she's a friend of mine as well.
I feel sorry for her.
Listen, I feel sorry for you because you're obviously so pig-headed that you do not realise that you said exactly the same thing as the South African crowd.
I didn't bring anything up.
Exactly the same.
I didn't bring anything up.
You did.
I didn't go into details.
You are a moron. Continue. Next topic.
All right, next topic. Fair enough. All right, now moving to the Bangladesh tour.
And if you cut that out, it's the last time I ever worked with you.
I won't cut it out at all. I'll leave it in. But I just think you're missing.
Move on.
You're missing what I'm trying to say. Because I think
move on.
I'm trying to
move on.
Warner some.
Move on.
Warner some
move
grace. On. Warner some grace.
Listen, you muppet. Yeah. When I say move on, I'm not saying keep talking about something.
But it's my
move
show.
on.
It's my show as well. I can keep talking.
Go on, keep talking.
I will keep talking.
Go on, keep talking.
No, I want to move on to the Bangladesh stuff.
Good.
All right. So it's a good blow up. They've announced that Australia have announced they'll be going to Bangladesh up to the north for 3 tests. Right. You look really upset.
I am upset with you. Move on.
Okay. Well, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. Not that, just why you're upset.
You're a joke, mate. Move on. Move on.
Well, you seem very irritable.
Yeah, mate. I may jump across the mic in any second.
Just what you know. So Australia are going up north to Bangladesh for 2 test matches. Actually, you know what? That's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us. Yep, absolutely.
Cool. That's
Thanks
great.
for joining us.